Bishop Horn. Number 8.
You shall take no bribe, for a bribe blinds the officials and subverts the cause of those who are in the right. You shall not oppress a resident alien. You know the heart of an alien, for you were aliens in the land of Egypt. For 6 years you shall sow your land and gather in its yield. 11.
Mm-hmm.
But the seventh year you shall let it rest and lie fallow, so that the poor of your people may eat, and what they need, the wild animals may eat. And you shall do the same with your vineyard and with your olive orchard.
6 days shall you do your work, but on the seventh day you shall rest, so that your ox and your donkey may have relief, and your homeborn slave and the resident alien may be refreshed. 7 days thou shalt rest that thine ox and thine ass may rest, and the son of thy handmaid and the stranger may be refreshed. So, my first thing is I was asked, how many of these laws do you think that we still don't do but recognize?
Um, Very few because, as we discussed before, there was a time when all of us were coming up, when there was nothing open on Sunday except the things that had to be, like the hospital and the police, they couldn't close down, right?
Mm,
But the liquor store and the store and all those places were closed.
right.
You know, so now if you notice now, when your kids have the championship soccer game, what day is it on?
Saturdays or Sundays?
It's on Sunday. When the championship football game comes on, what day is it on?
Saturday or Sunday.
The basketball game, Saturday or Sunday. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
my thing is, they've gotten all away from that.
And you find that that's the sale days, like
Right.
come in on
Right.
Sunday, you'll get 10% or 20%.
Right.
So we definitely don't follow that. Um,
And then about perverting justice, I don't know how many people who are rich murder somebody. And I can think of 3 that didn't see a day of jail. You know what I'm saying? David Ruffin hit Tammy Terrell in the head with a hammer. She died 3 days later, no jail time. The woman that threw the hot grits in Al Green's face, he killed her. No time. And Robert Blake killed his wife, didn't see a day of jail time because that money was saved.
and of course, we see every day about the false reports.
Right.
And how about not taking everything out of the field?
It's all gone.
When I was younger and we go to church, my dad would always take us for a ride and buy us an ice cream cone because that was kind of like what we could do. That's what he could afford. And of course, we would ride out in San Bernardino area, and there was nothing but orange. All those homes and stuff was not there. There was nothing but orange trees, and we'd go to the apple orchards, we'd go to the cherry orchards, and they would let you go in and pick if you pick so many.
Right.
And anyway, but there were signs posted everywhere: keep out,
Right.
private property, keep out, private property. You had to have a reason, so that was saying that if you come in here, it's a possibility you could get hurt because it says private property, keep out. So you don't see anybody in the farmlands leaving stuff for somebody to eat. I think more or less they turn it over and hope to nourish the ground with the leftovers. And the other thing is, I think though the farmers do have this thing where they will rest the land. But I don't know if it's ever 7 days, but they don't continually harvest it every
What
day.
it is it's crop rotation, because what they found out was if you plant the same type of crop every time, you take all the nutrients out of
Yeah.
the ground. So you plant another type of plant that helps to replenish those nutrients, then you can plant whatever else you plant.
Right. So anyway, it says, do not spread false reports. Do not help a guilty person. Do not help a guilty person by being a malicious witness. Right? Now, this is basically just telling us we should not lie. Conspiracy to commit perjury, cooperating with others to harm a third person, and undermines any justice system and leads to a societal conflict and violence. So you see that happening every day. I mean, it's like you can't hear the news that somebody has lied or I perjured myself. Even I noticed on the jury, they're saying this lady that worked with the guy that got killed in jail, sex trafficking.
Epstein.
They want to redo her trial because they found out somebody in the jury was molested. So that they think that might have made her vote different. So now she needs another trial because it's a possibility that she's been convicted unwisely. Okay. So we know that, first of all, God does not like lying. He said he just does not like lying. So when you spread false witnesses, spread false reports, and join hands with people to do malicious things to someone else, you're lying. Simple as that. And you shall not follow a majority in wrongdoing. When you bear witness in a lawsuit, you shall not side with the majority. Now, how easy is it to, when you're doing wrong and you are a great speaker or leader, how easy it is to pull people in to follow you?
Very easy, especially
Very
those that
easy.
have things in common with you, like the rich
No.
or the poor.
It's either poor, all you have to do is get out there, get your horn, and people will join you when they have nothing against you. But they will be convinced to join something that they don't even bother to research to see where I should be if I'm going to be on this. It's kind of like mob. People just get influenced in it. And people start fighting. And everybody just starts fighting. Why are you fighting? You don't even know who these people are. You don't know nothing. But we're easily pulled into something that goes on, and we don't bother to either look at it or see why.
I have an extreme case of this. There's two Anglos in my life that were telling me all the wonderful things that President Trump is doing for black people. You know what I'm saying? And I'm black as the night with the moon shining bright. My question to them, which I didn't ask them because now you're going to argue, is if he's done all these wonderful things for blacks, how come I don't know about it?
Yeah,
And how do y'all know about it?
right. That's true. But people can get caught up in a frenzy if you go somewhere. You go to a concert or whatever. People just get caught up in it. For some reason, we're easily caught up in what is going on. And sometimes you don't even know why you're caught up in it. You're just caught up in it because we have that tendency to be in the make of what is going on. Now it says, nor shall you be partial to the poor in a lawsuit. In a lawsuit or anything else, be partial. Well, normally if it's a lawsuit, you think if it's the poor, it's kind of like They just want to get rich quick on somebody else's money. So we're kind of biased in that our courts are very biased to the poor in lawsuits or in even injustice or whatever. If you can't get a mouthpiece. Now, if you're poor, they do one thing for you. What do they do? There's one thing they will do for you.
Get you a lawyer.
Get you a lawyer. But most people don't know. The lawyer is in and out of the courtroom all day. He knows all the judges. He knows the attorney, the prosecutor. They're all friends. They go to lunch together, and they want to. I'll go out and talk to him, and I'll settle this case. Because we want to get out of here today. We don't want to be here all day.
And the public defender is being paid by the people who's trying to convict you.
And most people don't know that. I'm not saying all attorneys now. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to, but a lot of your public defenders have established a support system within the courts, and that support system is there's discussion on what they feel about the case, and the judge, the prosecutor, and the public defender come to some recognition of what they think. I think we always said, I'll go out and tell them, if you plead guilty to this, if you plead guilty to that. But I had the experience of a close relative. They wanted him to plead guilty, and he says, I'm not pleading guilty because it gives me a strike. It gives you a strike. So then you're kind of like on a watch list. So they can give you 7. Give you 3 strikes. So he went on to court, and of course he was acquitted. So you have to remember in those cases that, so there's another perverting of justice. There's another. And it's the same thing for the rich. The rich people have lawyers, and they know the judges, and there's an exchange of favors. And this is what you call in the networking process, exchange of favors. I can get your son when he graduates out of Harvard, I can get him a job with lawyer so-and-so, so-and-so. I can do this, I can do that. So you get those kinds of favors coming through.
My boss wanted me to write a book about Al Capone, so I did. And one of the things I found out in my research is to convict him, what they did was they got a jury of very poor people. And when these poor people heard that Al Capone was wearing shirts that cost $75, and they didn't make $75 a month, then they were biased. Not because he was guilty, but because he had so much money.
Had so much money. That's true.
And they did.
Okay, and so then we go to, if you come across your enemy's ox or donkey, one and all, be sure to return it. Every now and then you read in the paper, somebody found some large amount of money and they turned it in. Every now and then you find that. But a lot of times we have the tendency to say, God sure bless me finding this money. But it's not your money. You find a quarter, a dime, or a penny, or whatever. But if you find a large sum of money, you know that money belongs to somebody. And it could be their rent or their food or their car note or whatever. So you should return it. And don't let it be an enemy. I'm going to let him die over there because that make him suffer. So we have to be careful of those kinds of things. It happens every day. So verse 5 kind of go along with that. Verse 6, do not deny justice to your poor people in their lawsuits. So we already kind of covered that. They will appoint you in our system now, we do have what we call a public defender. Now, I have nothing to do with the false charge. If you know that the charge is false, or if you want to get involved, we really should do research on it. But people are often inclined to get as close as possible to the line separating the truth telling from the lying without actually crossing the line. You know how you can, they do it every day in commercials. And they write also what is called prolific writing. You know, you're really saying something, but you've already had it investigated because you know I can't be sued, but it's implying something different. And so most of your commercials that you see on TV or on the books or anywhere, they have this kind of prolific writing about what this is going to do for you. But it's borderline, you know, and then if they would go to get court and get sued, very seldom they would, because before they do this, they're already out there. I was looking at the Car Shield commercial, and the guy that does it, I like him because he plays on this program. And I said, why are you lying? Now, the first thing they tell you in little print is they're only going to do cars from 50 to 150 miles. Well, the car is already pretty well not going to give anybody any trouble. And then these people get on and say, oh, they fixed my transmission. Your transmission or all these things are normally very, very seldom going to go out before 150 miles. Even now, the cars they're selling, the car company gives you 100 miles, 100,000 miles. So you know that it's still a gimmick. And it's like I had Home Shield, and I'm not talking against anybody from having it, but I was paying $75 a month. If I had a problem, they come out. It cost me $75. And the last time I had a water heater replaced, they bought the water heater. But there's quite a bit of upgrade from 98 till there. So all the upgrades is not included in your contract. So I ended up spending $800 to put this hot water tank in, because you had to use a certain pipe here, and you had to do a different exhaust pipe, and you had to put it on a pan, and the pan has to have a drip on it, and all those things, you know, and it's like, now I paid you $75 a month for a year. I paid you $75 for coming out. And now I end up spending another $800. So I said, you know, it's highway robbery, but that's how they get away with it. It's borderline, so you really have to be very careful.
Another place where they do that is when you get a demo plan, and you're paying all this money, you think you're covered. So then you have to have something like, you know, a bridge where it's very complicated, and then you think you're covered, and then you get a bill for $3,200.
Right.
Because your demo plan covered cleaning and pulling teeth.
And only,
Right.
so every 6 months.
Right.
Yeah.
But that other stuff ain't covered.
Yeah.
And
I just got through.
$3,200, and they gonna get it one way or the other.
Yeah. I paid $3,000,
Right.
but I have dental coverage. But I had to have a bridge.
Right.
And he wanted me to have this, and I said, look, you know, so you see all of this is we're just putting it out there, but we also do all these little things that lead people to believe one thing, but it's totally different. So you always have to read the small print.
That's why on the radio, they had the people talking real fast. You can't really hear what they're saying,
Yeah,
but they're telling you all the things what ain't covered and ain't gonna happen. But they said so fast, you can't even understand what they're saying.
right. And in 7B is part of that. It says, do not put an innocent or honest person to death. Now, I can't really say that an innocent or honest person has gone to death because I don't know. But we find out in these latter years how many people have spent 27 and 30 years in prison. And now you're innocent. You're innocent. You know? It's really something. But it goes back to the court justice system and people not being honest in what is being presented. Because he said, God says in 7C, says, I will not acquit the guilty. Now, how the guilty is punished, God's going to take care of it. So that's what we realize. Okay, and then they say, do not accept bribes, for the bribe blinds those who see and twist the word of the innocent. And so we see that in court. We see that in the Mueller's report. We see that in this whole scenario we're going through now with the president's elected. No, he's not elected. Yes, he's elected. You know, we see all these people coming up with evidence, but the evidence nobody never sees it. But you're spewing all of this, and you're causing people to feel a certain way. Because if I'm for A team and B team, and somebody is spewing all this, I have evidence that A is no good. I have evidence that B is no good. And you're for that. You're easily taken in with this, and it causes strife. And so we should not, if you don't know, you should not get involved in that. And it's like even people want to, with the vaccine shots and everything, you know, people are still saying there's metal in it, there's this in it, there's that in it. And, you know, you say, the government is doing this for us. Why is the government doing this for us? And then you ask yourself, well, why would the government just choose me for this? But anyway, if you don't want it, okay. If you don't want to take it, I can't say you must take it. But all I'm saying is, why spread some gossip about it that you have no way of knowing? People say they're trying to kill us. People say, you know what I'm saying? So why are you spreading stuff that you have no evidence of?
There's a guy in the store I go to, and he was against the shot, right? So I told him I was going to see my shot, take my shot. The next day he said, well, it was nice knowing you. Like I'm gonna die, right? I said, dude, I'll see you next week. You know what I'm saying? Which I did.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? But my thing is, this is what somebody told him, and this is what he really believes.
right.
See, and this is why we can't get rid of COVID, because you got so many people who are not going to take the shots. Then another question is, who's giving the homeless shots? It's never going away.
Well, when it first came out, they said it was the 5G. I don't know if anybody heard that. That 5G was too strong and it was messing up our bloodstream. And someone even called me on the phone, a friend, and told me, girl, did you hear? I said, no, what? You know 5G? And see, I was already mad at 5G because my alarm system kept going off, and it was scaring me. Late 2:30 in the morning, and finally I got in touch with my alarm company, and they told them why that was happening was because they were upgrading all the towers to carry 5G. And sometimes it triggered it. I said, well, you know what? You should call people and tell them that your alarm system may go off late at night because of XYZ, you know? But anyway, it was 5G. It was too strong for our blood. And that's what was giving us COVID. So now I could pick this up and spread this to someone else. But then that's what they're saying. Why are we spreading something I know nothing about? Because I didn't even know what 5G was really. But anyway, that's just how we do things. And you're spreading something that you don't even really know if it's true or not. And so God is telling us that that's not a good process. Okay, let's go. And now do not oppress foreigners. So we have this big thing where the public blames the Spanish people for the jobs. Or they blame the Chinese for the COVID. They blame, we blame everybody for something. But we have no really proof of that. And then what God is saying in this respect, do you remember when you were a foreigner and how you were treated? So if you remember, then why would you want to do somebody else that way? That's what it's all about.
I have a perfect example. On the day before 9/11, there will be these Muslim women, you know how they have all the Muslim clothes on, and they're walking their children to school. And nobody's mad at them, right? But the day after 9/11, a mob formed, and they beat the women, and they beat the children. But these are American citizens. They ain't dropped no bomb. They ain't flying to nobody.
Mm-hmm.
But they beat them people, and it got to the place where they couldn't walk their kids to school and walk with them anymore because every time they did, somebody beat them up.
Yeah. And so, like I said, and that goes what I was telling, we just mob-minded, where how easily it is for us to get caught up in something and blame somebody, and we have no evidence that that person is evil. But anyway, most of all, you should remember also that you were once a foreigner in a strange land, and how were you treated? So would you want to treat them that way? And of course, that thing is not. And then we go also back to the sabbatical year, which is the 6 years of sowing and rest in the fields, which I think sometimes the farmers do that or not. And of course, we look at the Sabbath day, and we know that in this modern world that we live in, we don't. And there's always been some discussions about the Sabbath day. Is it Sunday, Monday, Tuesday? Is it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? Because that's why the Seventh-day Adventists say it should be Saturday. And we say because of Christ's death, we under a new covenant, so we say Sunday. What's your take, Bishop? He's busy. You don't have a take on that? You don't have nothing to say on that? Okay. Well, your opinion. I'm looking for people with knowledge that, may have something to say on this. And I feel that you would be that person.
Not this morning.
Not this morning? Okay, Pastor, what's your take? Nobody got anything to say? Okay. We need to set aside a day. I know we need to set aside a day. in modern world and situations, he said set a day aside for him. So we set aside Sunday. But we don't really set aside the whole Sunday like
Like they used to.
they used to.
They
No,
used to.
we don't. We don't. But
And would an Arabic store be open on Sunday?
that's true. But like I say, we don't. We don't do that. But I think that we kind of like pull parts out of it for us. People that has to work Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they all Thursday. They work Friday, you know what I mean? In this new world that we live in and technology and everything, then, you know, that's kind of what it is. But when they take that day off, they get the rest. They get the rest from the work. But do we dedicate the majority of it to Christ? Because that was what it was for, to recognize him and to give your body rest as well. So,
Now, I don't know about anybody in this room, and I think it probably doesn't apply, but in the old days, they used to stay in church all day long, and I don't know how the young people felt about it because they were just taking along, you know what I'm saying? But now, if the pastor teach over an hour, or approaching an hour, everybody got a problem.
oh yeah, because normally we pay our respect to the church. We come,
Right.
we worship, we fellowship, and when we leave, we go and do other things.
Right.
But those things, I think, for a lot of us they're restful things. They are restful things. Yeah, like I say, me and my daughter, we go out to, and granddaughter, we go out to dinner, and we would just be family together. You know, we look at TV,
But it means that you don't have to cook.
right? But anyway, so I think we kind of do it, but we, and in this respect, what can I say? 6 days here echoes the 6 years of a law of the Sabbath day. Here returns the theme of helping domesticated animals, and the text differs from the Sabbath laws and the Ten Commandments. First, the verse before us does not give us a warrant from the law. Elsewhere, justified by return to the creation of the world, or to God's deliverance of Israel in the Exodus. And second, it does not command the recipient family to rest. The latter point went without saying, while the former points to the fact that the Ten Commandments, despite their brevity, richly developed important details. This version of the Sabbath law does not name those members of the household most valuable to self-centered action on the part of the family head. So the slave born in your household, as well as the foreigner living with the family, had the right to rest just as much as the citizens of Israel. And I think this man in his commentary is implying that we allowed, being that they were a nomadic people and they had Egyptian slaves and other slaves, was referring to the fact that they were to get rest. They were not to work for them 7 days. As he is saying, this particular Sabbath day came under, as I said before, the title of, have to look at it to make sure I get it right. 23, 1 through 12, where the original commandments was written on the 20th that God gave them on the tablet. These laws here were given back to God. God gave to Moses, and they were to help guide the people. So they expounded on some of the Ten Commandments, but they expounded a little bit more. They weren't the original Ten Commandments that was only given to the Hebrew children. Does that make sense? That's what he is implying in this. So in conclusion, one of the most powerful treatments of the nature of God appears in Exodus. It contains a richer layered set of stories exploring questions. What sort of God do we have in our midst? The story lies behind all Israel's laws. Rather than creating a long philosophical discussion on God, the scroll of Exodus weaves together stories about divine action and conversations around them, as it reveals a God who practices a radical commitment to mercy. Exodus does not avoid the challenge that belief in a redeeming God opposed. The laws of Moses will, while aimed at the people of Israel, offers guiding principles for the church as well. Life together requires practical actions that show love for difficult people, In this way, we can fulfill the laws to love our God and to love both neighbor and enemy wherever they are found. And there's a verse that says, if you love thy neighbor, you have fulfilled the law. If you love your neighbor, you have fulfilled the law. And all these laws that Moses told them how to live, they all come back to love, caring for people. How would I feel if somebody said that to me or did that to me? I would not like it, so then I'm not going to do it to you. So they all bounce on love. How much time I got? I'm through? I'm through. I got more time. Huh? If I had one thing, I wanted to go to page 44.
I guess you're not done.
Just one more minute. And let's read 44 right quick because Pastor said I'm through.
I know, we're proving it now.
Page 44, life application, please. Who wants to read?
God established compassionate justice prior to Israel entering the promised land. The way we treat one another makes a difference. To follow the command of God, we must ensure that we have equitable laws and judicial proceedings. However, in God's sight, justice moves beyond the courtroom to our daily lives. Justice means helping those we dislike and taking care of the poor and tending to the animals. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 28b, God made humankind the administrators over the fish, birds, and all living creatures. Today's lesson teaches that this responsibility should be done in a manner that gives honor to God.
So, it's not only love for each other, it's love for this earth that we live on, that he's given us to live on. It's of the animals. It's everything. Love. But we don't really care a lot of times about the earth or the animals, because I do not like snakes, but I don't go out hunting to kill them. But I'm saying it's a broad aspect that's under love, and if you can do that, then we fulfill what God wants us to do, because God is love. And with that, I'm through.
Here's your check. Okay, I don't want to be held in contempt of court or get a delay of game, but I have to ask the bad people one question. On the Sabbath, were people allowed to travel? think about the freeway. That's how far we done got away. The freeway on Sunday, that's how far we done got away. So with that, Sin, we're going to have you pray us out before somebody get in trouble.
Most precious, gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you this morning, God, thanking you once again for just allowing us to wake up one more time and just being able to move our limbs and breathe again and see and touch, hear and smell. We thank you, God, for all the things that you have placed upon us, God. Father God, as we start our day in love with you, Father God. We thank you for the lesson that was brought forth. For we already know that love can and should be answers to all things that are there, because you are a God of love. You are a God of sharing. You are a God of caring, and you are a God of healing. And we know love can heal all things that are wrong with us, Father God, as long as we understand the love that you are providing, as long as we understand the love that you are talking about. So, Father God, we continue to go on throughout this day, trying our best to love ourselves, to love others, to love the earth that you have given us, Father God. So, Father God, as we move forward, bless the church service. Bless the pastor as she brings the word, Father God, that you have placed upon her heart. Be with all the other churches and synagogues and temples that are open in your name, God. Be with those who are here. Be with those who are on their way. Be with those who would like to be here but cannot. Continue just to watch over us and keep us and provide us with enough food, Father God, to last us through another week. This we ask in our precious Son, Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
We appreciate everyone that participates in our Sunday school on whichever level they do. And we appreciate our teachers because they're well prepared and dynamic. And we look forward to Bishop Willie Horn joining the rotation of our teachers. And with that, Sunday school is dismissed.